Hello everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. I have live shows coming up in a bunch of cities, also a new book out. We'll get to that at the end, but let's get to this OPCW story, which is nuts and has had zero mainstream media coverage, pretty much zero, which is shocking. You have to work hard to maintain your ability to be shocked considering how shitty the mainstream media is, but I do. I work out my shockability every day so that I can continue to act like, why aren't they covering this shit? But they should be covering this shit. So the OPCW, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, you've probably heard some of this, but I'd be surprised if you've kept up to date on each of these details. Let's go back a little. And you recall that when Donald Trump got into office, he said he was pulling the troops out of Syria initially. He's done it. He said he's doing it more recently, but this was a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. And almost immediately after he said that, our military and various other organizations started running around and saying, Assad used chemical weapons, right? Assad has used chemical weapons, and therefore we have to invade, we have to bomb, we have to put the United States into Syria. I mean, we were already involved in trying to upend Syria, trying to further the strife there, trying to create a failed state in Syria, and we were having some success on that front, but not enough. So when Trump said he was pulling the troops out, that was far too much, okay? So they say Assad used chemical weapons, right? Then a report comes out saying that from OPCW, which, you know, they've largely over the years, they were founded in the 90s, largely over the years they've been respected for being the kind of a final viewpoint on whether chemical weapons were used, whether stockpiles are held, that kind of thing. And they came out with this report saying, yes, Assad had used chemical weapons. Now, there's more than one instance of this, but Duma was one of the most well-known instances. Various alternative media, independent media, was saying, are we sure about this? Is this, I don't know that we've really seen good evidence of this. There's, on-the-ground reporting coming out saying that's bullshit. And, then the various other journalists, Robert Fisk went there and didn't find anything. And John Pilger also did some reporting on it, as well as Seymour Hersh did some reporting on chemical attacks in Syria, being very skeptical, saying that they had not seen evidence that this happened. And why would Assad do that? Why would Assad, the moment Trump says he's pulling out of Syria, go, well, you know what I should do is use the one weapon, the one type of weapon that will get America to immediately attack me and get more involved. It seems bizarre, right? Seems a little bizarre. Seems like a very dumb move by Assad. So there was independent and alternative media doing that. The mainstream media, not at all. The mainstream media was running around going, see, we know how to use chemical weapons. Now, over the past few months, we've seen it just continue to unravel. You've had not one, but two whistleblowers from the OPCW have come out and said that the report that they were involved in was altered, and that the report saying they found evidence of chemical weapons was the opposite of what they had said. These are actually higher ups or people at the OPCW, and these whistleblowers, they didn't want... These are people that thought they were getting involved in an organization to actually stop chemical weapons, to actually help save lives. And here they are putting forward a report that says the opposite of the truth, and they honestly couldn't figure it out, and so they became whistleblowers. And now there's been two of those. Beyond just that, we more recently, in the past, I believe the past month, WikiLeaks has revealed the actual reports from OPCW, the actual internal memos showing that they altered the report, showing that there was conflict inside the organization, and that many people were saying we were unable to verify these claims of chemical weapons, and the report came out anyway, saying that they did find evidence of chemical weapons usage in Syria. I'm going to read something from the WikiLeaks here. WikiLeaks says, we are publishing a detailed comparison of the original interim report with the redacted interim report and the final report, along with relevant comments from a member of the original fact-finding mission. These documents should help clarify the series of changes that the report went through, which skewed the facts and introduced bias according to statements made by the members of the FFM. This is WikiLeaks verifying what the whistleblowers had said, that there were alternate reports and that those were suppressed, and that any evidence that a chemical attack did not happen was suppressed and beaten back and they ultimately came out, OPCW, and said, we have found evidence of chemical weapons. Let me just pause here to say, yet another reason that WikiLeaks is incredibly important and continues to be incredibly important. They're not able to put out as much as they used to because they've been cut off at every turn. Their funding has been cut off. Their lawyers are under stress. Obviously, Assange has been locked up and tortured for 8 years now. They continue to be harassed and attacked. However, even under all of that, they're still putting out amazingly important documents like this OPCW report or multiple reports and memos, and they're just incredibly crucial, WikiLeaks is. I'm going to put a link in the description with to this report. They're vital. WikiLeaks is vital, and they've never gotten anything wrong. Never once gotten something wrong. CNN can't scratch their ass with getting it wrong, meaning they scratch someone else's ass. That's what I'm trying to say here. That's what I'm trying to say here about Anderson Cooper and about Wolf Blitzer and Don Lemon and all those motherfuckers. Obviously, not just CNN, all the mainstream media failed to cover this story, failed to defend WikiLeaks when it's revealing the truth. And I want to bring forward one other thing that has to do with this OPCW fucking shit show that has been revealed. Actually, two other things. One is that a writer for Newsweek, a well-known writer for Newsweek named Tariq Haddad, he resigned recently and said on Twitter that he is publicly resigning because he was not allowed to publish newsworthy revelations about the OPCW reports. He had found out the truth about the OPCW that I'm telling you right now and was not allowed to cover it for Newsweek. They suppressed it, and they suppressed him and censored him for covering this, for revealing the truth about OPCW and about the fact that Assad did not use chemical weapons. And so he's publicly revealed that. He said in his Twitter statements, he said he wants to reveal the actual details of his report that was not allowed to be published at Newsweek. And but now he's under legal threat by them, so he's waiting to see whether he can actually reveal that stuff. And here's one other thing is, if there's anyone who knows this shit backwards and forwards, it is Scott Ritter, who was one on the group, the mission that went into Iraq to verify whether they'd gotten rid of their WMD, and he found out, yes, they had gotten rid of their WMD. Iraq had no WMD. Saddam Hussein had no WMD, and he was trying to tell everybody that. Scott Ritter was, and he was. You can go watch the interviews from 2000 and whatever one or no, later than that, but a couple years later than that. He was trying to tell everyone that, and he was mocked and attacked at every turn for trying to reveal the truth that Saddam Hussein did not have WMD. Our mainstream media fucking hated him for it. Hated him. Because they hate when you reveal that the truth behind their fucking lies. They can't stand it. So they attacked him at every point for that. But anyway, he has written an article for TruthDig, a column for TruthDig that you should absolutely read. That is the history of the OPCW and how it slowly got captured by our U.S. empire. John Bolton was very involved, he says, in forcing out the legitimate people at OPCW and putting in people that were more responsive, more willing to bend over for the U.S. empire and do what we wanted, which in this latest case was to claim Assad had used chemical weapons. So now, honestly, there's no denying it. You can't walk around saying that Assad used chemical weapons. You've got two whistleblowers at the OPCW. You've got the actual reports and memos leaked by WikiLeaks. You've got others demonstrating how OPCW was captured by our empire and the false world, the false bubble that our empire wants to create. You've got all of that coming forward, not to mention outside reporting that I talked about earlier with Seymour Hersh and Pilger, etc. And all of that. And where is our mainstream media? Where are they? Where is CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, any of them? NBC, ABC, CBS, PBD, RGR. I made up the last two, but I still think I needed a few more letters in there to really round it out. So where are they right now? Where are they going, wow, we got this really wrong. We totally fucked up. Man, did we get it wrong. Man, did we help continue a war against Syria. And by the way, the war against Syria by the United States has not just been... it's not just been the few bombings that we did, right? The couple of bombings by Trump, etc. It's been far more than that. The sanctions are crushing that country. Like, people don't have electricity and gasoline and food and shit. So there's so much more than just the few bombings that were involved in this. But as we see, Trump threatened to take the troops out. And by the way, I'm no fucking fan of Trump, all right? But he said he was going to take the troops out immediately. Oh, Assad uses chemical weapons. Oh, well, we have to bomb. Okay, not taking the troops out. Then Trump most recently said he was taking the troops out again, right? Out of that northern Syria and the oil fields. And then he said, oh, never mind. We're going to protect the oil. We got the oil. It's our oil now. So, I mean, not only does that show that you, as a U.S. president, you are not allowed to withdraw American troops from fucking anywhere. The Pentagon decides, if ever, to withdraw American troops, and rarely. So not only do we see that, but we also see that Trump is apparently just easily influenced, easily pushed to do the opposite of what he just said he was going to do. But it's an incredibly fucked up situation. And none of this is being reported on your mainstream media. You got to go to Mint Press to read about it. You got to go to Gray Zone to read about it. You got to go to TruthDig to read about it. I'll put some of the, and WikiLeaks, of course. I'll put some of the in the links. So last thing is, as you know, we're incredibly suppressed here. Redacted Tonight's incredibly suppressed and censored. But I do have live shows coming up. You're not going to hear about them as much since of all the censorship. Facebook won't let me let people know about them and shit like that. But live shows coming up and it's a book tour. It's kind of half stand-up comedy, half book tour. And that's coming up in Philadelphia, Austin, Dallas. I'm adding cities every day. There's not tickets available yet, but Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Burlington, Vermont, those are all going to be added soon, as well as Columbus, Ohio. I believe Pittsburgh's coming up. These are all, we're working on a bunch of them. We're working on a little bit in UK. So the only way to really find out about this is to be on my email list or check my website a bunch, redactedtour.com, leecamp.com. And lastly, my new book, if you pre-order, they will start shipping in January. So a couple of weeks, they're going to start shipping out to you guys. There's a limited number of hardcovers, limited number of signed copies, and that's all at leecampbook.com. It's got an intro by Jimmy Dore and a foreword by Chris Hedges. It consists of my TruthDig articles and extra content as well. But it's the TruthDig articles cover everything. They cover the 21 trillion missing at the Pentagon, a lot of different angles on that. They cover this chemical weapons stuff. They cover U.S.-backed coups in various countries. They cover the myths that allow us to continue to live our ridiculous system that is collapsing around us. All of that's in there, and I make it funny here and there, when I feel like it. And I feel like throwing in something that makes you not want to slit your wrist I think as Lewis Black said, slit your wrist just to see color. But when things are seeming too gray. But all right, that's it. Keep fighting, everybody.